Good morning. This is Maria Quattrone with Be the Solution podcast. And this morning I'm welcoming Lisa Chinatti from the greater Boston area. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you in a second.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. At 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Great, thanks. How about you?
Awesome. It's great to have you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I forget where we originally met, but we have quite a few things in common these days. So I'm glad to reconnect with you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I hear that you and your team of 90 agents in Boston area are killing it.
They're having an amazing year and lots of fun while doing it.
That's great. So tell us all, how did you get into the real estate?
I got into real estate really quite by accident. I had worked, prior to getting married, got pregnant, and I quit my job to be a stay-at-home mom. I quickly realized less than a year into being a stay-at-home mom that I just was not cut out to be stay-at-home and not working. So when my daughter was about 10 months old, I got my real estate license for the first time. So that was 2004. And my license is good for 2 years up here in Mass. And so from 2004 to 2006, I didn't sell any houses, couldn't figure it out. And left the industry thinking it probably wasn't meant to be. In 2010, I got my license back, worked part-time for a couple of years from 2010 to 2014, would sell 1 to 2 houses a year and kind of just kept my mind busy. And then in 2015, kind of got a little bit more serious, sold 8 houses in 2016, really went full-time. And there's nothing to really identify where the passion started. I guess I just needed to decide I was either all in or all out. And so 2016, I was all in and sold 82 houses. And that was kind of really the start of my career.
So you went from 04 to 16 with very little sales, maybe, and you're saying you can't pinpoint what it was?
Yeah.
But I think because based on your personality, and I don't know you that well, but I seen you seem like a person to me, you're either 100% in or 100% out.
Yes, that is absolutely a fair assumption.
So it's like you just go for it. You're going for that brass ring no matter what, and you'll keep climbing up that pole until you get it. Even though, listen, let's talk about that because it just didn't all miraculously happen, right? You sold 82.
Oh yeah, no miracles there. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of grit, a lot of sacrifice, even, right? The time to do it, the discipline to do it, and a whole lot of crazy.
So where do you think you get your discipline from?
I like to say that it's, a lot internal. I think I'm just wired that way, but I also was raised by a single mom who had to be very disciplined with her time to work 2 or 3 jobs to support 2 kids and, really kind of own her schedule and own her priorities and her goals in order to make things work. And I think I was texting with my mom about this last night, and I said, I wouldn't change anything about, that early part of my life because it's definitely made me who I am today and has factored into what I bring into my business.
That grit and determination, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for you being raised by one parent. I mean, that's a hard thing for kids. So I would imagine that you had some times when it was tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think, now that I am a parent and have kind of, I think all kids have struggles, right? No matter what it is, nobody has this perfect, idyllic childhood where there's no adversity or no struggle. And we each just have our own. And it's kind of, how does it shape who we become later on in life?
Well, that's a choice because not everybody makes the choice of using that to as a catalyst for
Agreed.
growth,
100%.
right? So we make a choice. So don't take that too lightly, because everybody has a choice. Most people don't make the right one.
Fair.
I'm very direct and honest. So transparency is my middle name. Good, bad, or indifferent.
I love it. I have a filter, so that's probably part of what we're on.
Yeah. Well, you gotta put it out there. I like to people know where I stand, and I like to know where I stand too with that. And so anyway, back onto your real estate career. You did 82 and you said, okay, I need some help here. I need people. I want to grow this team. And what did you initially set out to do? Did you initially set out to have a whole 100? You have 100 and you said 90 plus 23. So you have 113 people-ish in your company right now.
Correct.
When you started in that 2016, did you think you would be right where you are today?
Oh my gosh, no, absolutely not. And it's funny because I reflect back on that, often in kind of thinking about it. In 2016, I never thought that there would be a team, there would be a business. I just kind of thought I would sell enough houses here and there to keep my mind busy, have a little bit of fun, and earn enough money to pay for dance lessons for my kids, or an extra shopping trip, or maybe a vacation. In 2017, when I started the team, I think, I kind of looked at it and I said, oh, it would kind of be cool to have like a team of like 5, right? 5 agents, a staff member or 2, and myself. And then I remember when I hired Jason, who works with me as one of my sales managers, or director of sales, whatever title we give him these days. And, I had said, so maybe it gets to 15 agents, but definitely never gets past 20. That would just be too much. We'd never be able to handle it. And when we got to 20, we both had a conversation and we were like, okay, well, I think we can do like 40, right? And then we got to 40 and it was, 50 is probably the max. We can probably grow it a little bit more. We can probably have 50. And then we hit 50 and it was just like, what next, right? And then it just kept going and going. And we've set some pretty big goals for the next few years to get into, not just the 1 office or the 3 offices that we have now, but up to 10 offices. And where does that take our footprint? And how many people can we help, whether it's, agents or staff or buyers and sellers, right? And I don't know. I think this is the first year where we've actually set goals and said, how big is it going to get?
Oh, so wait, prior to that, so Jason, I know Jason's the one who does all the script training and everything, right?
He does.
I see him on Facebook. He's done, I don't know if he's still doing it, but I've seen him over many years doing a lot of different training. So that's Jason, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So this is the first year you're really setting goals?
Yeah, in terms of growth, we've had business plans, right? And we kind of have goals in terms of what we need in terms of maybe units or volume, but that's been more kind of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do that? And not really like set growth plans. And I think this was the first year. I actually remember when it happened, it was about November, December. And we were both sitting there, gosh, like I'm bored. Like what we're doing, we figured it out. It's easy. It's, it's fine, but it's not exciting anymore. And I said, this office is it's on autopilot, right? We've got it down. It's a well-oiled machine. I think the next step is we open another office and another office and another office. Are you in? And I remember his face and he just breathed a sigh of relief. And he was like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I'm all in. And I was like, maybe you should talk to your wife. And he was like, no, I'm ready.
Wow. That's exciting. So you only go back because you said something. You were bored. You were bored because the business is it's a duplicatable business, right? It's a system. It's a process. Yep. And once you have that system and process down, it's not, I would say, exciting because it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. and you've mastered it, right? I think that's what I hear you saying. You've mastered those things. And so
Correct.
now you're sitting back and you're like, okay. You're kind of waiting. What's next?
Right. Yeah. We've got really great people. We've got really great systems. Of course, none of it's perfect, but when you have really great systems and processes and procedures and you put the right people in place, it kind of starts to run itself. It doesn't necessarily continue to grow at the same level, right? But it will remain consistent. And that's what it was doing. We've made a bunch of changes this year, and we hit the roller coasters as we make some tweaks and trial and error and, hiring new people in terms of the growth. And, you and I were chatting about before this started with swapping out some systems, right? We know that that's going to create some bumps as we take what was working and what was working well, but maybe wasn't as scalable as we needed it to be. And we put in place some systems, processes, policies, procedures, and people in order to take it to the next level.
So how are you doing that? How are you attracting all these people to your company?
That's a great question. And something that I think took a long time for me to realize is that when I am the truest form of myself, and when Jason is the truest form of himself, and everybody here is the truest form of themselves, you attract people who are attracted to that form of you, right? So when I try to be somebody that I'm not, it made recruiting and talent attraction very difficult. But when I own who I am, which is kind of wacky, unfiltered, kind of brash, but really driven and a lot of fun, it attracts people who want to be a part of that, whether it's agents or whether it's staff, right? And they support the vision, and they get the why, right? And it just really comes from putting out there and owning who I am as a human being and who I am as a leader.
What is the why?
It's changed. I think, when I look at it every single year, it's morphed, right? First year was kind of proving that I could, right? Proving to myself that, that I could do it and that I could be successful. And then a couple of years later, it became, I have two daughters who are 15 and 17, and wanted my girls to see that, women can be successful. We can go to school, we can get an education, we can start a career, take time off to have children, to be moms and to be maternal. But we can also jump back into the workforce where we know no limits, and that they can see that men can take on opposite roles, right? So for the first 10 years of my kids' lives, I stayed home and I took on that role. And then it kind of swapped with my husband, who takes on more of the parenting responsibilities than I do right now at this point, right? And then this year, one of my big drivers was that I don't think that there's a ton of transparency within the industry. And I think that there's a lot of ego within the real estate space. And we talk a lot about units, and we talk a lot about, kind of how we led this off with talking about the size of my team and how much sales, we do. But what we don't talk about is how profitable are companies, and are they making money? And are people who run teams or brokerages, are they actually truly happy? And are they working towards something that's going to better the lives of themselves, their families, and their communities? Or are we grinding along for the ego's sake of saying that I've sold $1 billion of real estate?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's hard to talk about, what that means, the profitability. I think some people don't even know.
100%, but that's part of the problem, right? Like, so I look at it and I think there's 100 people. If I open up my office door, there's 110 people or more, right, who support their families. They pay their mortgages. They pay for their kids' educations, their vacations, their groceries are paid for by the income that they earn, trusting my decisions, right? And if I'm not keeping an eye on making sure that the company stays profitable and that we're doing the things that are going to make sure that the company's here today, tomorrow, next week, next year, am I doing right by those 100 people who have trusted me, right? And I think that the answer is no. And I think when Corona hit early on in 2020, it was really kind of, there was this big divide between real estate companies, right? I remember the day that we shut the shades and we pulled the door shut because we were on complete shutdown. And Massachusetts was one of the most locked down states in the country, right? We had complete shutdown. Real estate was non-essential for a small period of time. Our offices were non-essential.
How long was that in Mass?
It was about a week and a half where we truly couldn't even do showings, right? We couldn't do anything. We opened up quickly, or about a week and a half where we could do showings and stuff again, but it took another couple of weeks before we could open the office. And so we had to, have the staff working remote and figure out how to do all of that. And we were one of the last states to remove mask mandates and that kind of stuff, which factors in at a small level into where things go. But so I remember across the country, we all kind of hit the same time where we were pulling our doors shut, right? And it was fascinating to me to watch the difference between those companies that were freaked out. Would they be able to pay payroll if they didn't sell houses for the next month, right? If every closing got wiped out from their transactions and they had no income for a month, would they still be able to pay payroll? Versus the companies where, I walked out that day and I put out a message to my staff and I said, we don't have to sell a house for 6 months, and I guarantee your incomes are all protected and I won't lay off a single person, right? Versus the companies that were pulling back, slashing salaries, making cuts on marketing budgets and that kind of stuff because they didn't have the cushion or the safety net to be able to ride out a catastrophic event that nobody could have anticipated was coming, right? And so that's kind of, as I've gone through it and I've looked at it, we should all be aiming for that, right? When people trust us as business owners and team leaders and brokers, we should be able to put in place a system and a business that's going to protect them and their families. They work for us just as much as we work for them.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, any business should have 6 months of 6 months saving as a cushion.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just business. But you saw that it was many businesses furloughed people immediately within a week, not just in real estate.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I know it was a tough time. We were shut down for 10 weeks here, Lisa. No real estate, non-essential, 10 weeks. And that's how I started this podcast, because I couldn't leave the house. I was like in the house. We still worked though, 13 hours a day, calling our clients, seeing how everybody was. And I watched what was going on in the market. Nobody was saying anything. There wasn't any. The leadership just collapsed in a lot of companies. So it was very telling.
Right.
It was very telling, and somebody had to take the stance to stand up. So I think that we do talk a lot about units and how many millions you sold and all this stuff, because that's what the industry teaches, right?
Correct.
It's not like that's what we want to talk about, but everybody asks you the same question about that because that's what the industry teaches. Every month we look at our P&L, we close our books every month to see where we are.
Right.
And you got to watch that. I mean, you have a responsibility, like you said, to all those people in your company.
Yes, without a doubt.
And you know what? It's not easy either, because when you want to grow and scale, you have to constantly watch cash flow, watch new revenue come in, revenue go out, add in another system or process, right? Stop, go, stop, red light, green light,
right?
Pause. And I don't know about you, but before real estate, I was in sales, and I've been in sales for 27 years or 28 years. So I didn't have a background in financial management or anything like that. So I had to You had to learn a lot. Learning it costs money too.
Yes, it does. A lot of money.
A lot of money to learn. So I think that's the other thing. I think we get into this because, we're doing so well, and then we say we have others to help us, and then you decide where you want to go from there.
Right.
Right. So you have a lot of people you've attracted to your company. What are the top 3 things you look for when bringing a new employee or a new agent to your firm?
So the first is always a match for our culture and our core values. We have a really unique office. It's not like a typical office. And so finding people who relate with that, right? Like
What does that mean?
I love a good confetti cannon, right? Like you got to keep things interesting and insane. You walk through my sales floor and there's loud music playing the entire time that the office is open, right? It's not silent. It's not stuffy. Teamwork is absolutely imperative. So you won't see anybody sitting in an office alone or sitting in a cube kind of protecting their work product, right? There's often 3 or 4 of them sitting in each office, either making calls together or collaborating or working together. We have Nerf guns from one end of the office to the other, and random Nerf wars will break out just when things get a little bit too serious, right? It's different, right? It's crazy, it's unfiltered. But we also, giving back is huge. If you're not, if you're just here to earn a lot of money, not the right place for you. Charity work and volunteerism and being a part of our communities is absolutely paramount to who we are. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be grit, right? As you know, and I'm sure most people who watch this will relate to, real estate isn't always easy, right? There's days where it can feel like you've just been beaten up like 50 ways, and being able to get back up and say, I'm just going to start over again tomorrow. It's a new day, right? Whether it's the deal that went sideways or the listing that you lost or that dry spell in getting an offer accepted. Like that's huge, being able to kind of persevere through that. And then the third thing that we look for, honestly, is just somebody's character. Are they a good person, right? Do they send out the message that, that's the best way I can describe it, that they're genuinely a good person. Outside of that, real estate is so teachable. You know that, right? I can teach you how to write a contract. I can teach you how to show a house. I can teach you all sorts of stuff, but I can't necessarily teach you to be a good human.
Oh, that's our number 1 thing. Be a good human. To be the solution.
Right.
Our core value. So being a good human, being somebody that has confidence, somebody that has integrity, loyalty, and commitment. Nothing to do with talent or skills or real estate.
Correct.
That's it. That's what we search for.
Truth. Yeah. Same here. It's a big part
We
of
want
it.
to attract. So is it hard to find people now up in your area? I'm just curious.
I wouldn't say that it's hard to find people. Staffing side is the employee pool is a little bit limited. I think like most of the country, we're kind of experiencing some of that. Agent attraction, there's always, it's a function of how hard you look, right? And are you willing to put in the time to find the right people? It's not easy, much like anything else, but the results will come.
Do you do that?
Mm-hmm. I'm still actively involved in recruiting and finding staff members. It's probably one of the things that I still like to keep on my plate of activities to do. I've given up a lot over the years, but I love being a part of recruiting and, talking to people about what we do and who we are.
Do you recruit as a team?
Yeah, we have a dedicated recruiter on staff who does most of the recruiting, but we talked about it in our weekly staff meeting this week that it's the job of everybody here, right? So whether it's, saying good things about the company, making connections, making introductions between agents and the recruiter, or just putting out there who we are and how we can help people. It's a role that every single person in the company shares.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all part of, I think, any company, really. If you don't want to recruit to your own company, you shouldn't be there.
100%. 100%. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else can believe in you.
No. And we see that, like you could tell by people's, the way that they move their body, their body language, the cues that they give off of, no, they don't have to say anything. It's actually what they don't say more than what they do say.
Yes. 100%. Facial expressions, body language. What's that stat? When you break down the levels of communication, right? 7% is the words.
Yeah, 55% I think is body language.
Right.
And then the other 30% or something's tonality.
Correct. Yep.
That's why I hate text messaging.
Yep. We're all guilty of it, though. I'm the first one to shoot off a text message and have it be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm sarcastic, right? Especially when you're super sarcastic, you never know quite how to read anything.
Yes, that is true. That is true. So is your market as crazy like the other markets throughout the country where there's no houses to buy?
It's starting to level off a little bit, which is definitely a good thing. By level off, in a community of 25,000 residents, there might be 15 houses for sale, which is up from 3, which is a good thing, but certainly not a balanced market. I think part of kind of in that conversation is the difference between what's the reality and what is the media been putting out, right? Reality is you look at the inventory, media puts out, you look at the inventory and it looks like it's crazy low. Reality is, as in MLS across the state of Massachusetts, we've actually sold more homes year to date in 2021 than we'd sold at the same time in 2020 or even in 2019. And part of that is, the buyer demand is so strong that they're not staying on the market. So the inventory appears lower, but the number that we're putting under pendings and the number that are actually selling is up. So it's a really good thing, right? It's tricky for buyers, no doubt. We're still in double-digit offers on like absolutely every single listing, but there's a lot of activity happening. It's not like there's no homes to sell and that homes aren't selling and that the market is actually shrunk. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah, well, we find that it's also not every area. So in our downtown area, which is where our headquarters are, it's a steady pace based on the index of 100. It's probably about at 100.
Okay.
If you go outside to the suburbs to certain areas that are in certain price points, let's just say if you go up to like Northeast Philadelphia and you're in like the 2,750 range, it's like a 250 on the index of 100.
Yeah.
And then there's areas that are slow, like in South Philadelphia, it's on the slower, it's like an 85 on the index. And then you'll go to a single family house out in, the suburbs, that's 800,000, and it's in a moderate, which is more like 150, 160 on the index. So there's not one, and not everything's selling in 5 minutes. We just put something under contract yesterday that was in the market for about 40 days. We have another offer came in last night on something about 45. And then we had, last week, 15 offers on one property. But most of the stuff here, because we're in the immediate downtown area, is slower than the rest of the Philadelphia metro market.
Okay. I suspect you'll see it start to pick back up. We now that masks are kind of unmandated, vaccinations have picked up, I'm going to guess that your Philadelphia market is very similar to our downtown Boston market, which it's been fascinating to watch. There were some amazing deals to be had about a year ago. And I would say that those deals started disappearing probably about 5 months ago. And right now we're seeing that the lines are back. I was out with my family a couple of weeks ago and we were visiting an open house in downtown Boston, and we actually had to wait in line to get into, a condo in Back Bay, which hadn't happened for months, but now it's back. So it's been fascinating to watch that. I think as a society, we crave normalcy again, right? And we crave having, I know I do, and I'm like probably one of the biggest introverts anybody will ever meet, but like I missed people and I was excited to know that we could have human interaction back. So I suspect I'm not alone in that thought.
Yeah, there's about 25% of the downtown workers have come back. So we're missing 75% of that, which, there's new businesses opening up. So that's good. It's all hopeful. I think by the end of this year, early next year, I think some companies will not open until next year, their offices, some by September. So we'll see this transgression of, growth happening.
Absolutely. And as the colleges, I know you guys have a bunch of colleges down there too, kind of like we do up here, right?
Meds and eds are a big thing here.
Yep. So as the colleges open and the students come back, that helps the rental markets, which will pick up, which will drive up the sales on the lower ends, right? And then the restaurants are coming back to life, and the bars will come back to life. And then after the colleges are kind of settled in and the public schools are back and everybody's back at work, then I think we're going to see the companies kind of start to come back. And I think it's going to be a quicker phase back than what we were all thinking a year ago.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, this is interesting. We had an apartment building, 6 units to rent, and we also had it for sale. So in the last, I think, maybe 2 weeks or so, around that, they rented the building August and July and August of this year, because it's in Temple University area. So it's all, college kids, and the building went under contract. So that was very telling to me, because 6 months ago, there was no takers.
Okay.
So that's energizing. I think, I explain it like this. It's like the COVID dim light, that when you see a dim light, it gets brighter a little tiny bit every day, so much so that you can't even see it's brighter until the light's on.
That's a fair analogy. I like that one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm all about, like, I have sayings and analogies out the wazoo.
I love it. I love it.
One of my favorite ones, Lisa, is progress, not perfection.
Heck yes. That's one we all live by.
Yeah, because every day you might not, if you can make a little bit more effort, you might not see it happening, but it does happen from the, the value of the compound effect. So, which is one of my favorite books. It's such an easy read. Are you a reader?
Not as much as I should be. Not as much as I should be. I absorb a lot through osmosis and listening and that kind of stuff, but I need to be better about reading.
So I buy a lot of books, and then I don't read all of them. Like at first, but eventually I get to them. Okay. But I just picked up this one book. I don't have it here. I just finished it. I read it over the weekend, and it's like 6 hours, 3 hours on Saturday, a couple hours on Sunday.
Okay.
It's called Winning.
Okay.
Tim Grover wrote it, the guy who wrote Relentless. I really enjoyed this book.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's an easy read for people that, aren't big readers.
Yep.
And it just showed me how much more we could all be doing, how much more we're all capable of, and how much more we can really maximize our time. And it's not by saying yes, but by saying no.
Yes. It's such a hard skill to learn.
By saying no.
100%. Huge. It's a tough skill. I think we all struggle with it, right? I always say yes. Yeah.
And it's not the things, I need to be in bed by 9:30. Well, then you can't go out till 10 o'clock.
Right. Right. Yes.
You have to say no. Or, there's so many different things that we could do.
Yep. I get it.
I know it's it's the little things. It's the little things in life. It's not anything big. I love the fact that you have so much energy and desire to succeed in this business. And, you had mentioned you have 3 offices now and you want to be at 10. And what does that journey look like to you? Like, how do you get there?
Progress, not perfection, right? I'm gonna throw your quote back at you.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I think, and that's part of it, right? Is we're opening the 2 new ones right now. And, we're making mistakes as we go, but looking at it and saying, okay, here are the mistakes. What do we need to fix? And what won't we do when we open offices 4 and 5, right? And how fast does it go? I don't know. I'd love for it to go faster than it's going, but, it again, go back to safe, healthy growth that protects the business, right? And does the right by all the people that choose to join us on this journey. So making sure that we're methodical about it, that we're doing the right things, that we're putting in place the right policies, systems, procedures, and people in order to support that. I'm hopeful that we'll be 10 offices within the next 24 months. I think that that's probably a fairly realistic and attainable goal. Am I going to be devastated if it doesn't happen? Nah, it'll happen when it's all in place.
So I'm curious, you had said your offices are different. So are all your offices the same replica of your current office that you're saying about how your sales floor is?
I think at a certain level it is, right? Because I think that we've hired managers for those offices that embody that same kind of vibe. And I think it's just part of us when we attract talent, whether it's leadership talent, agent talent, staffing talent of any other kind, we're all kind of similar. So are there slight differences? Yeah, there's subtle differences, right? But I think that they're all still, they're not typical real estate offices, right? Across the board.
So do your salespeople come in the morning? Are they on the sales floor now? How do you run it?
Yeah, they are 1099s, just like realtors at any other office. We're heavy in lead gen and lead distribution. So we like to see everyone's smiling faces so that we can connect with them and, all of that stuff. There's salespeople in now. The ISA team, the whole staff is in, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. The inside sales team from, I think they're 10 to 7, 10 to 8, depending upon the day.
How many inside sales?
We have the department of 6 folks now. So a decent size, and they're nice. They're an amazing job for.
So are they setting most of the appointments for the agents?
I don't know that they're setting most of the appointments, but we are giving a ton of layouts for the agents.
Yeah, that's great.
I think I was just, before we started chatting, doing the numbers from last night, and we had 5 accepted offers last night, and 3 of them had an inside sales rep who had set the appointment. So more than half of yesterday's offers were started by the inside sales team, which is a huge bonus for our agents to have that nurture and stuff kind of taken off their plate.
And they're doing inbound and outbound?
Yes. Yep.
So that's great. That's just another opportunity outside of the agent's SOI that they can walk right into and be able to work that opportunity. I don't like leads. I call everything an opportunity.
100%. Yep. I love
that opportunity. So that's fantastic. How long did you have the ISA department for?
In various iterations, years. It's been probably the part of the business that I've struggled with the most. It was either making the wrong hires, it was not having the right systems, it was not putting enough of my time into building it out. The current iteration started in July of last year, where we really started attempting to go all in on inside sales. And it wasn't until probably February or March of this year where I could look at it and say, we're on the right path. And then it was May of this year where I sat down with Haley, who runs the department for me. And I was like, I think we've finally got it on a path where it's going to be a pivotal part of the business on a move forward.
That's excellent. It's a really important part of a real estate company.
Huge. Yep.
I'd say it's hard to do all of that follow-up while you're showing houses and be sitting on listing appointments.
Well, and it's not their personality, right? Salespeople are good at sales. They're not great at systematic follow-up and long-term nurture, right? But if we're generating Google leads and Facebook leads, and those can be years before the consumer is ready to transact. And a salesperson is focused on sales. We need people who are focused on building relationships to take for the long term. And then when they're ready to transact, hand them to somebody who's transactionally based.
Absolutely. So I think that that's really one of the most important functions of a real estate company is inside sales. Because if you can't capture and develop that relationship, then you've lost them to your competitor down the street.
Absolutely.
And you know that they want to talk to somebody immediately when they call.
Yes. Yeah, it's the society we live in today, right? We want immediate gratification.
It's called Amazon.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
People want it now.
Right.
Be the now broker.
Right. Present included. I'm the same way.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. So lots to work on. All right, Lisa, fun facts about you. Favorite ice cream?
Oh, so I actually don't have one. And I have a rule that I never order the same flavor twice. So
What?
Truth. It's always something different. And we just bought a condo in downtown Boston. And I said to my family for the summer, we go out to dinner whenever we're there. I spend half my time in the city, half my time in the suburbs. And I said, so you're not allowed to go to the same restaurant twice. Like, I will go out to dinner with you whenever you want, but we are not visiting the same restaurant twice. So you can make a list, but if I've been there, I'm not returning.
Wow.
Yep.
So no favorite ice cream, Lisa?
No, there's so many different flavors to experience, and I haven't gotten to experience them all. So I can't say that one is my favorite until I've experienced them all. I do love anything with chocolate, though.
Okay. Well, at least I got that out of you. Oh, boy. My favorite's mint chocolate chip.
Okay.
But I don't eat a lot of ice cream because it doesn't agree with me. But if I was to eat it, I would eat that. I will tell you, though, when I am in Italy, which I like to go to as much as I can absolutely get there, I do always taste different gelatos.
Okay. See, it's the same thing. You've got to experience it all.
Yeah, you got to experience it. But I like that idea of the restaurant because I go to a lot of the same places.
Yeah, you get comfy and cozy. And what are you missing out on?
A lot, apparently. I'm missing out on a lot, Lisa. I learned a lot from you today. You're a fantastic broker, owner, and human. And I appreciate you. I love your transparency and directness. And you do an amazing job up there in Greater Boston with all your people, and you're having fun. I want you to send me a picture of your office, though. I want to see this Nerf gun stuff because we don't have any of that here.
Oh, they're everywhere. If you can actually see, like, I can't show you up, but I've got hanging lights in my office at the moment. And there is confetti from the confetti cannons the last time they launched them stuck in the lights. And there are stuffed monkeys that are looking down over the lights. So we had giant stuffed monkeys that we bought for new agents, and they would keep it in their desk area where they were working as a monkey on their back until they got their first offer accepted, right? And
oh, my God.
Somebody got very inappropriate with the monkeys. I'll just leave it at that. So I bought baby monkeys. And now the baby monkeys have reproduced themselves all over my office. And there's literally 2 of them staring down at me from my lights, which I cannot reach. So.
Oh my gosh. You guys do like to have fun.
Totally.
I love that. So the monkey on the back.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then they pass it off when they get their first offer accepted, and they pass it to one of the newer agents who hasn't gotten their first offer yet.
Oh, wow. I think I might steal that. Am I allowed to?
Totally. It's a great way for our veteran agents to support the newer ones who might need like a boost, right? If they see the monkey, they know that that's somebody who hasn't gotten an offer accepted yet, And if they can give them an encouraging word or share with them a tip or trick or whatever, it makes it an easy, fun way to kind of help the entire company support our newer folks.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love it. So much fun.
Yeah.
Lisa, it was amazing to talk with you today. Thank you for being on Be the Solution. You really are a powerhouse, and I love it.
Thanks.
I love seeing the success, and don't forget to send me those pictures because I need some inspiration for my office.
Totally. I'll send them along after.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Blessed and grateful for your time.